Hello, my beautiful African people. Welcome back to Hail and Ride Africa YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the Niger government military pact with Russia. You know, most of the time when the African leaders break ties with one Western country or the other, they try to move to the next one. When they break ties with Chinese, they want to move on to the Russians. When they break ties with Russians, they want to go back to the Chinese. We see this often. And I don't understand why we Africans, we always think that people that have pale skin will always help us in time of need, or maybe always love us or something like that. It's quite obvious that these military juntas in Africa doesn't want to do anything with the West, because there is a reason for that, lots of reasons for that, which I'm gonna touch a bit of some of these reasons. Number one reason is that the West have been there in Africa for more than a century, for more than 100 or 200 years ago, and they have not done anything for Africa, which is a very nice reason to look elsewhere. Another reason, again, is that the West would not like to deal with any country that have a military regime or junta at the affairs of that country, because the West present themselves as the beacon of democracy. So they want to see some democratic elected government, in any part of Africa. So these people, this junta, they don't have any alternative. They can go around this, and deal with the West the way they would like to deal. Because Russians, one thing about Russia is that they are like Chinese. They have the same principle as the Chinese. They don't care who is in power, whether it's a military or civilian. For them, they are the same, because even Russians doesn't have you can't say that Russians have a democracy. The same thing with Chinese, because any country that has leadership for one person being a helm for a long time, that's not democracy. The democracy is far away from that. But we're not talking about democracy today. We're talking about why Africans we so much depend on other groups to help us, whether it's in technology or in peacekeeping or in anything. Even though I'm happy that this Niger government have broken ties with French, because French is one of the worst colonial masters on earth. Most of the countries that French were former colonies is always very poor countries. These people are so bad in dealing with our people that they will make sure that you are very poor. They will take all their natural resources and bring it to their place, to their people, and leave their host community poorer than they should be. Because when you look at the Niger, when you look at their rating in economically wise, they're one of the poorest countries on this planet. And when you look at the size of the country as well, and the abundant mineral resources in that country, they shouldn't have any problem, in terms of economy. But this is how it is. America they can happily go to Niger and build a base where even the Niger cannot enter into their base, and you are this base, when you compare to the same location, people, different life. People are very poor, and you put a base there, a military base there. It doesn't help anyone. So when the Niger people, when these juntas, they started to, say that they don't need the West anymore, and the West are not, they are livid about it, because remember that last month In March, the American government have already told the Niger that they shouldn't deal with the Russians. Because this is what the West will always want. They want to tell us what to do. They want to tell Africa what to do. Don't do this, don't do that. Like Africa is their child, But Africa, they don't take Africa as their child, because if you take Africa as their child, you should do good for Africans. But I think they take Africa not as a child, maybe as someone, as their slave. That's why. But the point I'm trying to make today is not about how the West treats Africa. It's about this military junta in Niger moving towards the Russians. And I want to make it clear that the Russians are not here to help you very much, or they love Africans. No, they don't love Africans. But it's not bad that we want to get some military equipment from them. But what we cannot do is to depend on these people for all the time, for all the help we need. I think what Niger should do is to not only bring this equipment, but they should, the major thing Africa needs is technical knowledge, technical know-how, so that we can even produce our own weapon, not to depend on the West or the Russians or the Chinese. Because when you depend on these people, they are not coming to help us, they're going to come and use us. Because remember that the Russians and the West are almost the same thing, they have the same ancestors. Even though the West and the Russians are having problem now because of Ukraine, but this problem is going to end once the war in Ukraine ends. They will still come back to the same table, eat and drink and do business. And they will do more business to the Americans, or the Europeans will do more business to Russians than they do to Africans. So, Africans, some of us that are trying to move to the Russians, these people are not our friends. But it's not bad if we look elsewhere, because the West have not treated us good either. But the thing is that the Niger government or the junta should not forget that they have upper hand, because the Russians are coming because the Nigerians have military mineral resources. If they don't have mineral resources, they won't even come. And they are coming now, they are going to Africa because the West are having trouble with the West, so they want to. It's kind of a revenge for them. They are doing this to tell the West that they can do whatever they do, they can do as well. If they can go to Africa and have base, Russians can go to Africa and have military base if they want. But the problem with moving towards the Russians is that the Russians, the economy is not so great, and they are in the war now. So I think because of that, they would like to, they would like to get more money or more resources from Africa. It's not the right time to deal with the Russians now. They are fighting war. The economy is not good. If the economy is good, yeah, I'm gonna say. But now, they are coming with red eyes. You know what I mean? Coming to Africa with red eyes. So we should be cautious dealing with them and know that these people are not there to help Africa. And for Africa to help themselves, we need technical knowledge. We need science and technology. We don't need all this hardware. We need to be able to produce all our hardwares and softwares in Africa by our own people that resemble us, instead of going to people that have pale skin. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like our YouTube channel or subscribe, and tell us how you feel, and comment. I'm your Bratan, as the Russians calls me. Don't move down. See you in our next video. Peace.